The Model T cost less than $300 FOB Detroit. For that, you got a car and a hobby. Every street was gasoline alley, and every owner was a backyard mechanic who counted on an hour of polishing and tinkering for every hour of motoring. The T model was delivered without any accessories. The floorboards were made from the box the battery came in, and the customer could order any color finish, so long as it was black. Here was a car anyone could afford and almost anyone could start. The owner of one old stem winder said, if you advanced the spark too far, she'd backfire. That'd kick back the crank and break your arm, or at the very least, scrape your knuckles against the radiator. Considerable color has gone out of our language since the adoption of the self-starter. If the spark, throttle, and handbrake were not set on their mystically exact notches, the Model T demonstrated another peculiarity. All 20 horses under the hood would start to creep affectionately forward under their own power. These were the days when cars seemed to have personalities of their own. They were almost like living things. Children grew to love them, gave them pet names, Lizzie, Lena, Bouncing Betty. They crept from the garage into the affections of the home. They were members of the family. The automobile introduced a new form of togetherness, that weekly and often aimless migration, the Sunday drive. It provided a great excuse to leave the dishes in the sink. Right after dinner, they'd all pile into the car. Destination didn't matter. Maybe they'd drive down county to see Grandma, or drop in on the cousins. A prize went to whoever saw the most unusual thing or spotted the most out-of-state license plates. Let's go for a spin meant that the alleged head of the family wanted to see how many miles he could get on the speedometer. Starlight Park and back the same day on one tank of gas. Now that was something you bragged about, like getting Cleveland on your crystal set. Family activity was no longer limited to the radius of the horse and buggy. Going down to watch them unload hogs at the depot was not nearly as much fun as the magic carpet world that could be reached by automobile. Benefits of motoring are numerous, a medical journal cheerfully stated. Fresh air and sunshine, the invigorating excitement of motion, the chance to escape from the workaday cares of kitchen and counting house, make the automobile a medicine much to be recommended for the health of body and spirit. But the automobile, which unified some families, helped to scatter others. Low cost and upkeep put cars within reach of many young people who use them to escape the jurisdiction of the home. Joyriding sheiks and their shebas drove on both sides of the road, irritating their ukuleles and consuming by the pint liquids which their radiators would have rejected. One worried observer wrote, "Violation of the motor vehicle laws and the 18th Amendment leads straight down hell's highway to the roadhouse." The auto put the front parlor on wheels and moved it beyond the city and all other limits. I don't know which is the horn of doom, the klaxon or the saxophone. Not only had the automobile replaced the horse, it went too far and started to replace the comedian. The kids painted jokes all over the cars, so no matter where it hit you, it would strike you funny. Notice this stable became a filling station. Air was free, so was water, and gas was 22 cents a gallon, including the 2-cent tax. Wherever the country was headed, it was going to get there on wheels. The popularity of the Charlestons, said one social historian, is all that keeps legs from going completely out of style. In fact, the automobile fomented not only the second industrial revolution, but a social revolution, too. It affected the manners, the morals. Oh, boy, did it affect the morals. Even the map of America. The whole country in 1905 had only 150 miles of paved roads. By the mid-20s, most rural roads were still unimproved. Said one farmer, they're so bad that even in the dry season, they'd bog anything that ain't web-footed. After a fair-sized rain, even a dinosaur would have to look for a detour. We consider roads real smooth around here when the tree stumps in them are below the level of the mud. Midwestern paper admitted that the ruts in one road certainly do need filling. We believe the coming crop of fractured axles and broken steering knuckles should do the job nicely. Gasoline was once thrown away as a waste product of oil refining. Now it supported a new major industry, which expanded daily as car production increased. And the more cars on the road, the more good roads were demanded. Overnight, it seemed that new paths were beaten from point A to point B. What had been dotted lines on the map, catawampus trails, were drained and widened and leveled, filled and graded, and topped off with tar gravy, concrete, clamshells, anything that would lie flat and shed water. With improved roads, the automobile had become a rural convenience as familiar and a great deal more common than plumbing. After all, said a farmer, where can you go in a bathtub? The automobile didn't entirely replace the farm horse, but it did give the farmer more horsepower. And it did the same thing for the Texas rancher who said, I've got me a car that'll do anything a broodmare will do except foal in the spring. or lick salt from a plow hand. If the automobile didn't retire the cow pony to pasture, it was because gas and repair stations were noticeably scarce on the open range. The car owner with a puncture was advised to let the tire get snake bit, and then wait till she swells up to size. The automobile widened the social horizon of the farmer and his wife. Now the state fair was just as close as the county fair. It introduced them to more people and ideas than the party line telephone. And it meant that their sons and daughters could, for the first time, meet and neighbor up with other young folks who weren't all second cousins. Country churches were more accessible and better attended. But they also felt the competition of Sunday driving. Many a congregation heard sermons which warned that America was traveling buckety-buckety down the road to perdition in a Model T. But if that's where Lizzie was taking them, they had every confidence that she could get them back. For generations, horse and buggy roads had led reluctant feet to the traditional one-room district schoolhouse. Here, one teacher had to instruct and defend herself from 7 or 8 grades at the same time. The automobile made the consolidated school possible and put an end to 8 different McGuffey's readers in one class. Now every grade could have its own room, or as a teacher put it, each age in its own cage. No longer dependent on common carriers, farmers could truck their produce and livestock to market themselves. This not only lowered the cost, but it raised the land values of whole areas not served by rail or waterways. Once prosperous railroad spurs and branch lines began to wither. Trackage rusted into winding gardens of Jimson weed. Only occasionally, and then accidentally, did the iron horse get its revenge against the horseless carriage. But the roads which fed the cities also bled the farms. They lured men away from the soil to good jobs in factories and mills that turned out parts and pieces of more cars. And they paid good wages so that more people could buy them. Ours was the only country in the world where the men who made the cars could afford to drive to work in them. But they manufactured problems too. Air pollution, noise, congestion. Problems so acute that in some cases we had to use horses to help solve them. The automobile had made a total impact on America, or any part of America unable to get out of its way. A new slogan, "Safety First," came out. For some curious reason, it didn't catch on. radio and the automobile grew up together at a time when crime also had become technically sophisticated. Radio-equipped police cars were developed to meet the high mobility of the mechanized criminal, the hot car merchant, the bootlegger, the midnight importer of hot lavaliers, and a guy charged with an overdue library book. Except in Tunaville, it was the end of the line for the trolley car. When they made lunch wagons out of the old electric horses or bonfires, there would be more room for more automobiles. The automobile helped to overcrowd the cities, which in turn made their outskirts more desirable and accessible. They made the land expensive, which in turn popularized, if that's the word, installment buying. House with attached garage meant that the house could be attached too, and so could the car. The final price would probably be $19.29. But in 1928 anyway, it seemed that Wall Street and Easy Street merged at Main Street, and Main Street crisscrossed America, and every car on it put every American within easy spending distance of at least one big town. No longer did the housewife have to buy her dresses to the nearest size from a mail-order catalog, or buy the only style hat from behind the feed sacks in the general store. The car made everyone a comparison shopper who could always go to the next town for a better fit, a different color, a fairer price. So big city chains, specialty, and department stores moved out to the small towns to get the egg money. And when they did, there were no more small towns. To go with these fashions from Paris and New York, the girls from Main Street had to get the latest Hollywood haircut. This drove the men from the barbershops and broke up a lot of good quartets. For all this, we can thank the automobile. Our culture, like our economy, was on wheels. We didn't know where we were going. We only knew wherever it was, we were going by car. And Will Rogers was saying that the only thing this country really needs is a place to park. We were so in love with the automobile. If you care enough about something, you can afford to laugh at it once in a while, and we did, on Saturday night, at the silent movies. How did that chase end up? It didn't. It's like our romance with the automobile. It's still going on. The honeymoon ended along with a few other things in 1929. But we're still very much married to Lizzie. We don't always know how to get along with her, but we certainly can't get along without her. And if that isn't marriage, I don't know what is. We've been through 2 wars together and a depression. She's carried us through the air age and into the atomic age. And wherever we're headed now, it'll be in something like this. It may be nuclear-powered, radar-controlled, gyro-steered, and vitamin-enriched. But it'll have license plates front or back, headlights and a horn, and once in a while, we'll still have to get out and give it a shove. So, merrily we roll along.